Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to model vehicular background assets using random flow and the rest of the creative bundle add-ons. And these models are just going to be simple geometry or using a simple base mesh, and they will mostly serve as, of course, like I said, background assets, and is particularly useful if you have like drawing skills where you can sketch over the design to give it more flair. Okay, so let's begin. So let's start with a tank, and what we're aiming for here is just a simple geometry, and then the shapes or the rest of the shapes will be generated using randomized scribbles. So you can do a better modeling than what I'm doing here, but the idea is that we're just going to stick with using a simple geometry. There we go, and we can make the turret. Let's delete those faces and reestablish the mirror. Now we can use inset to create a hole, or yeah, inset to create a hole here and just push it back. And this will be our base mesh. Let's add some topology here and make it straighter by scaling it to the z-axis using zero value. Adding more topology here. Maybe let's just copy this direction and do it like that. So I'm gonna select this face. The face is inside the barrel of the cannon and invert. And the rest of the faces will be used for randomization, and probably not this one because it's below the tank and we really can't see it. So we're just gonna immunize that from the randomization. Also this one. So I'm just going to try that. And we can duplicate this to create a variation of the design using the Gribble. So the selection for the duplicate will be maintained. And after we're done with this, we can just repeat the process on these models using the Shift R hotkey or the repeat action command in Blender. So random panels, I'm just going to use random panels, and we're going to use merge. So this is going to be destructive, but I'm not going to use this square tap merge, but instead I'm going to use this one and increase the resolution, and also increase this to increase this increase the max value of the depth to create a randomization. So 0.024. So the randomized value will uh, be from 0.005 and 0.025 or in between them. Okay, so also try and turn off even offset. And this is using Autosmid or by angle. So let's try and randomize the shading. The shading can also be seen in render. So this just makes it with a combination of texture. This just makes the the details in the tank more varied or different. And all we have to do is look for a shape that looks good for the design. So the spiking, we can get rid of that by uh, using 90 plus degrees. The using this method will still produce the spiking geometry, but at least you can use the panel seed to actually. There we go. You can use the panel seed to get rid of that by randomizing the patterns. But a sure way of getting that uh, problem or the spiking geometry is using even offset off, but the inset will no longer be straight compared to on. And there's also another way using cut method split, but the sharp edges, the transition of the panel islands in the areas of the sharp edges will be split instead of using, compared to using wrap, which of course wraps or continues the panel island on, or transitions the panel islands on sharp edges. So wrap, and we're just going to use panel even offset off and modify the make the depth valley property more subtle. So in the next update, the smoothing properties will also change. This factor will now be 0.1 by default. It's 0 here because I'm using the preset. The presets are not updated yet. So when this is 0.1, and also the repeat will be 0, it can now be set to 0. So this is the smoothing, or the factor will be 0.1, and all you have to do is control with the mouse, roll up or down and to affect the smoothing factor. So this is much more intuitive. Instead of this is 1 and this is 0, and you need to increase this to affect the smooth. So the next update, you have this and this. So this is 0.1 by default. All you have to do is increase the repetition or modify the repetition to create the smoothing effect. Okay, so let's go back to the tank. The details, the panel islands, you can increase the size to get more relaxed areas. Smaller panel islands will create uh, more busy details compared to using a higher panel size. So the uh, the value will be randomized between the min and max properties. So if you don't want too much detail, just increase the panel island size. And you also have panel amount. This gets rid of the, so we're not using merge panel. We're going to use merge panel. It merges the result of the randomization to the source mesh or active mesh. So it is a destructive process. And okay, this one. This gets rid of panel islands. You can see there. And if you click this, it will create holes. So this is, I'll show you how to implement this on a, or the use case scenario for this in the next, in the preceding videos or in future videos. Okay, so let's pick our design. So this will be in the background, far away. So it will just, what you're looking for is a shape or design that once a person looks at it, if even if it's in the background, it's far away and it's small, you can still the viewer can still see the design, and of course their brain would tell them, oh, that's a tank. So it's because of the primary shape. It of course hints. The brain of course will recognize it as a tank, and the details you have to um, of course play around with the panel seed and the properties like I've shown you to create a something that actually pass passes as a tank. So yeah. So the Gribbles most pick something that's pick a design or a random pattern that makes the Gribbles looks functional on the primary design or the concept of the design. In which case this is the tank. Okay, let's go with this. This looks good. And here, just Shift R, and you can see it created the same result or pattern. This is because the geometry is exactly the same. And to make this different, we have to adjust the panel. Okay, this one also looks good. Shift R and play around with the panel seed. So you can create a library of this, which you can, of course, assign as an asset, and you can drag and drop it using the asset browser. Okay, so we can still detail this. You can still add more details. For example, this one here. Click on this face, Shift U, then Alt to select all the faces that share the same normal as the or normal threshold as the faces that have been selected. You can use the Alt key event. Shift Q, Alt, press Alt, and then while pressing Alt, click on the random operator to select all the faces, and then you can affect the result of this. So this can also be done in object mode, although you can't see the faces. I like to do the gribbling in object mode, so I don't have to deal with the wireframe overlay. You can increase the resolution, but seeing that we're using merge, this also increases the resolution of the rest of the object to make the edges basically connect correctly. So as you can do the layering technique, you can have like this as the first layer, then create another subdivision to create the secondary detail, or yeah, from the first layer or the secondary layer on top of the first layer. Okay, let's use 50 and point 0.4 ooh 0.04, and let's play around with the there we go. So kind of curious, all their back portions have been totally relaxed. Don't worry about the resolution. We're only concerned with the shape, and since this is just background assets, so we don't need to actually make the surface look good by having good topology. We can just limit dissolve them. something that looks appropriate for the idea of the main design. And once you reach that once you reach a resolution that is probably okay for the randomization, increasing the resolution is primarily for creating more faces for the randomization to create more details. But if you've reached the resolution that is okay for that, for the randomization, so for example, like this one, then you can just avoid the randomization and play around, avoid the increasing the cuts and just play around with the panel seed. So I'm using the key event right there to select the faces. Actually, let's use 60. So I modeled this. I've been modeling this kind of object or design, and some people are, especially in socials, some people are mistaking it for an actual hero model or primary object. This is not a hero model, and like I said, this is for background asset only. For hero models, uh, oops, oh, that's okay. Increasing the resolution actually make the design look sharper. For hero models, more manually modeling the design takes like priority, and you can use the gribbling tactically on some areas. Whereas for creating background assets like this, you can take gribbling. You can use gribbling as the primary design driver. Okay, let's create a basic diffuse color for this using vertex color. Make this lighter. You can use limit dissolve and triangulate. Don't worry about the shading error. If they're far away and if they have shaders and textures, that don't matter. Uh, I mean, those shading errors cannot be seen by the viewer in the render. Okay, but for this exercise, we're going to keep the quad structure and let's see, random vert. Okay, just one by one, random vertex color and use sharp. Do not use the sharp limit on very detailed models. It will freeze Blender. Use it only on mid-res, low-res to mid-res designs. Shift R. Okay. And we're going to use the append materials operator to append the 7 materials that comes with random flow. You can read all about this material in the online documentation. The link is in the preferences of the add-on and in the product page. So assign material or flow metal. And let's see. You can of course create different base meshes to have a more varied look, or more variation than what I did here. So I'm just showing you how you would do it, how you would duplicate the process on each base mesh. Okay, so coming over to HDRI, adjusting the direction of the light. Let's just pick something. We're still going to modify the shader because the shader is different for every object. The effect of the shader or the look of the shader is different for every object, depending on their sizes. Okay, this one. So we're going to edit it. We're going to get rid of the RGB, make a color node, and use the vertex color we created earlier. To modify its intensity, we're going to use the color mix node and set this to overlay, set this the factor to 1, and set this to, no. So this will now be your control for the intensity. So for example, if I make it darker, the color, the values of the color also gets darker. The advantage of this is that compared to color ramp, you can use this for saturated colors and it will not turn them colored as or desaturate them. Something like that. And let's adjust the other shader nodes. Increase the scale. Reduce the saturation. Copy this, Control C, while the mouse is hovering on top of it, and then Control V, hover the mouse on the property you want to paste it. They must be the same property. In this case, they are RGB colors or bars. There we go. Cavity mask. Let's go to edge mask first and set this to 0.005. Make the strength to 1. And the scratches 40 scale. Cavity mask. Let's try peaks. Now it's to 30. Okay, let's try and see the shaders. There we go. It's not too, the dirt effect is not too strong as it was before. Can also affect the roughness to make them more reflective. So this looks much better. And you can also use the lights UV, although it operates using UV. But if you're just sketching, just use, if the model is uh, mostly angular, just use cube projection or smart UV project. And we can turn on the lights using 20. Okay. The lights are too small, so we're going to use something like 100. Change the color of this. 50. Okay, and the factor determines how many of the lights can be seen. Something like 0.04. And you can randomize the position using this one. So we have our tank. You can place them around your scene. Oh, you can use. Excuse me. Somebody's calling. Okay. You can use the sort asset and create a bundle to, of course, mark them as asset, and you can put the blend file on your asset folder, and then just drag and drop the tanks to your scene. You can also batch export them or grid array. Okay, so I'm just going to create a simple ground. Assign a texture, PBR texture, okay, we have our tanks, and we have the shapes. All you need is uh, good lighting to really make this design pop out or be more convincing. So it doesn't look like it's been you save time by gribbling the design. So um, in terms of distance, I think um, if this was the render window, you can have it like at this distance, and even at this distance, they are still quite convincing. So the only if you zoom into them, of course, you'd see that they are uh, the shapes are gribbled, but at certain distance, they are really convincing, and that is the idea of this exercise, to create the background assets or vehicular background assets you can use for your concept art sketches. And um, it is helpful, particularly if you have the drawing skills. You can sketch over this, and yeah, I don't know the process, but some of the concept artists I saw before uses 2D and 3D to make their workflow faster. So you can use this method also if you're just starting out and practicing. And the good thing about this is that your designs will be unique. Instead of buying stuff from the stores, you can also do that. But with this method, of course, with the add-on, uh, most of your stuff will be yours and will be unique to you, depending on the amount of experience you have with the add-on. Okay, so and this does not um, this doesn't this also applies on other stuff like buildings. You can use it on small buildings too, and also things like props like street lamps. If you want to sci-fi those or gribble those, or power lines, you can also use it for those. So, but mainly for background assets. For hero designs, of course, your workflow must change. Most of the shapes will be, of course, manually designed, and the gribble, if you want to use it, should be used strategically. Okay, so that is it for this video. I just wanted to show you how the process is done, and be sure to subscribe and hit notify, and also like this video for other people to see it. If you have any questions, use the comment section or the links in the description. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.